In Sudan, more than 2 decades of civil war devastated the country. The 2005 Comprehensive Peace Agreement has provided the government now with an opportunity to develop Southern Sudan's education system, which suffered greatly during the war. VOA's Clara Frenk has more.
Through no fault of their own, and I really want to emphasize that, the Southern Sudanese are one of the most undereducated populations in the world. That's a fact. That's a situation that we have to face.
Mark Sommers is a researcher in Sudan and says the demand for education is very high in the south. Since the signing of the Comprehensive Peace Agreement, the government has been working to develop the education system throughout the country. Elizabeth Loy, an expert on schools in Sudan, says parents are now sending their children to school in record numbers.
From the point of view of increasing enrollment at all levels, the system has been phenomenally successful since 2005. Gross enrollment in primary education has more than doubled since 2005, from around 700,000 to 1.6 million students who are in primary schools.
Loy says despite these successes, there are still some very serious problems, such as a lack of access to secondary or higher education, overcrowding in classrooms, and a shortage of learning materials. Loy is also concerned about the dropout rate.
For example, in 2009, there were almost 500,000 students in primary schools, in grade 1. In grade 8, there were only 18,000 students. So students are going to school, but they're not staying very long. Not long enough in many cases to establish even the most basic literacy and numeracy skills, because the greatest dropout point is in grade 1.
Loy also says that rural families have to decide whether the education a child is receiving is worth more than the economic value of keeping the child at home.
Parents will have the good intention of sending their children to school, but if they see that their children are not learning anything, or often there's no teacher present for long periods of time or whatever, they'll just take their children out of school because they can't afford to do otherwise.
Girls especially struggle to obtain a good education. 85% of boys are enrolled in school, compared to only 57% of girls. Jahan Deng says gender bias is partly to blame.
The cultures and customs of our people has an impact where they believe in early marriage. They believe that women are supposed to be in the house, in the kitchen, taking care of children, food, and so forth. But that has changed dramatically, and some of the parents has taken pride in educating their girls.
She warns the political instability that could surround the referendum might pose a threat to this progress.
If the will of the people is not exercised, if obstacles continue to be put in place in the political realm, then chances that women again will fall back into the same era of not being educated and being left behind.
Among the education priorities for Southern Sudan in the future is improving conditions for teachers.
First of all, providing training opportunities to all teachers. And secondly, making sure that teachers are paid their full salary and paid on time. These two things coupled will really make a big impact on the education system.
If peace continues during and after the referendum, Elizabeth Loy and other analysts believe the government will have the opportunity to develop and improve the education system throughout Sudan. For producer Allison Fisk, this is Clara Frenk, VOA News.